All right, officially, I'm here with Greg Peck. We're up in Casa de Peck. All right, up in Casa de Peck, up in Ancaster, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, of all places. Huh?
I drove all the way up here to do this interview.
Glad you came.
Yeah.
You guys have been a pleasure to have.
You guys have been pretty gracious hosting us, and it's been a pretty good couple of days. So I'm happy. We went to Flamborough. We're going to Mohawk tonight.
Yeah.
You got a couple racing, so it's interesting. I'm from New York.
Yep.
Canada is all. I think it's different, but it's all the same.
But everything for me was New York. Remember to go to the Meadowlands. I was you make it there, you make it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt that you had to do it there. So that's why I can come back now, I guess. Probably if I hadn't gone there and made it, I wouldn't feel the same as I do today. But coming back at this time, because I feel, I did what I wanted to do and finally get comfortable enough to say, let's go back and go on to the next phase of my life.
Well, I think, I'm 30. How old are you? You're 50?
52. I'll be 53 next week.
I think, you hit that 30 to 40 range.
Yeah.
You want to just grab the world by the balls and just take everything.
Yeah, I did that.
I think a lot of people, when they hit their 50s, it's okay to slow down a little bit. I think, where you don't have that, I still got my hormones raging.
Well, you get more comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it. Probably there was years that I wasn't comfortable with myself, and now that I know what my direction is,
Mm-hmm.
because I've always been very agenda-driven, put it that way. It's always been, and it can be unnerving with people around me sometimes, because kind of everything I do, there's a reason why, and it's all based on an overall agenda, an overall objective of being successful.
Sure. Now I think we're going to bounce around a little bit, but the main reason why I'm here, we're going to go into 2009 Hambletonian.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just going to jump right into it.
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Real quick, one quick question.
Yeah.
All right, a little teaser.
Yes.
Muscle Hill.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
He the greatest North American trotter ever.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I pride myself in not being biased. I think some of the reason I've done some good is I try not to bring a slant to things. I'm pretty factual. I taught that. But certainly based on his 2- and 3-year-old accomplishments, he'd have no equal. Beyond that, as far as an aged horse, he gave you certainly the impression, because he was never strongly urged at 2 and 3 that he'd have no problem as aged and could have gone on and whipped the world, if you will. But we'll never know because we didn't get a chance to do it. But certainly, for the whole 2- and 3-year-old year, the way that he did it, I don't know that we'll ever see it again.
All right, so one more tiny question before we jump into the race. Greatest trotter ever. Notice how I said North American trotter? Is there a divide between?
I'd say greatest 2- and 3-year-old.
Okay.
But you can't say age because he never did. Do I think that he could have gone on? We had talked about this before. Could he have gone on to win the Elite Lot, the Prix d'Amérique, whatever, when he was 4 years old? Of course he could.
Okay.
But it was not practical at the time that that they wanted to stand him to be a stallion, and that's the way that it worked out. But certainly, to put it in perspective, remember he won by an average of 4 lengths.
Mm-hmm.
He was never strongly urged. Brian would go tap, tap, that was it, it was over. Now, even the Hambletonian tapped a couple down with the cameras, but that was about it to keep him paying attention, really. So, where all of the others were either defeated or strongly urged and on their hands and knees to win or even to lose, and he never was.
Sure. So we'll jump right. We'll save all the other stuff, the fun stuff, because I like those debates. I think they're fun.
Yep.
Sports talk is fun like that. So. 2009 Hambletonian, let's give a quick setup. So Muscle Hill was he was the 2-year-old champion.
Yeah.
Was he undefeated?
Lost his first race.
His first baby race or pari-mutuel race?
Well, I drove him his first baby race.
Okay.
He finished second. And then when we were pulling up, I said to Brian, past the wire gateway, I said, this is the one you want to drive in the Peter Houghton.
Okay.
And Brian had driven Lady Magdalene, among others, for me at that point. So Ronnie Pierce, actually, I had named him to drive Muscle Hill at Gateway, and he said he'd be there. But he had, those days, I think they had qualifiers at Harris Chester, not Harris Philadelphia. So he went there, and that's how Brian ended up driving for me. And the other irony, the funniest thing around it was, when I named him in the baby race, the sheet came out. the driver, and Muscle Hill was Stephen J. Searle, a guy I've never met, but I think he's from Chicago or raced around Chicago. Yeah. So Brian gets off the bus. He said, "Well, I thought you were going to put me down and drive the trotter." And I said it was the funniest thing. He said Brian J. Sears. He said Stephen J. Searle. Yeah, it'll always be a trivia question. I say to people, can you imagine if they ask, well, who was after how did the sequence go? Ronnie Pierce first, Greg Peck second, Steve Searle third, Brian Sears fourth. It was the funniest thing. But yeah, instead of saying Brian J. Sears, it said Stephen J. Searle. But here was, of course, what if he had been named on another one? Because he drove for a lot of guys that he might not. He said, well, I can't take myself off now.
Right.
And who knows what would have happened at that point.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what would have happened.
So as far as parimutuel races...
Lost his first.
Lost
his first, yeah, and I added a Murphy blind, which I should have the first week, and he never lost again, and it was never even close again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when was it, when he was training down, maybe that first baby race, the Peter Houghton, when did you know you had a real superstar horse?
I knew he was bought on a Monday at Harrisburg. When I went to the track with him on Friday at White Birch, there was other sets out there going from other trotting guys that were purchased, say, in Lexington a month before.
Okay. And
I turned them the right way of the track. And you'd lap on them. You'd say, what is this? Like, oh my, I've never felt anything like this.
Right.
And you knew there was really something there, but you can't speculate greatness, because so much has to happen from then on in. But you knew there was something extraordinary here.
Was he easy to deal with in the barn?
Yeah, very easy.
Like breaking up?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So he just picked, like, you told him to do something and he did it, and he was the best at whatever he did.
Well, I had good people with me at the time. Sylvia Hovda, she round penned him. There's a little round pen, and she brought him to the track the first time I came back after the Harrisburg sale, and went to the track with him. And from then on, I always say this, what I did was he was so good that I decided I'd always go with the challenging ones, because the irony is we bought him on the Monday. Then they also suggested I purchase, and I did a horse called Touchdown Town, which was a full brother to Muscle Mass before Muscle Massive.
Okay.
So he was like 320,000, and he was the complete opposite of Muscle Hill. Just from day one, oh man, he hit the pace and
ornery.
But he was so easy to break. He was such a smart horse.
Okay.
But whatever happened, it all went downhill after that. But so when people say to me, well, they all start off great. No, there's the epitome. There's the epitome. Those two right there. One was diametrically opposed, complete opposite of the other.
We've all broken horses that. Yeah. They trouble harnessing them, trouble bridling, trouble hooking, trouble this.
The Holiday Road was a little tougher that way. Yeah.
So you knew you had something special right from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Maybe, like you said, not greatness, but...
Well, no, you knew you had the potential for that.
Right.
But you don't know with injury. Sure. You don't know they get to a certain point. And now that it's over, you realize everything pretty well went the way that it had to go. Mm-hmm. And I talked to you a lot about my friend Mitchell Skolnick, who I have cherished my friendship since almost when I went to America, a year or two after, in the early 90s, who says everything had to happen the way that it did. And that's about true, amazingly so. And you see so many other horses that come out with the ability that, but next thing, there's a question mark. Mm-hmm. Where when I look back at him, there never really was.
Never really was.
Well, there wasn't, put it this way, there was at times when I had to make decisions. Mm-hmm. And,
So you hit the baby race. He's training down well.
Yeah.
You hit the baby race. You got a good one. Mm-hmm. What state was it? Was he New Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay, mm-hmm. So New Jersey side. He hits the New Jersey Sire Stakes final.
Wins final, yeah.
Win a final.
Yeah.
First big test is the Peter Houghton,
because and he won it easily.
That's where you pull horses from every state.
Yeah, but he won it easily.
He won it easy.
Yeah.
And then we hit the Breeders' Crown. And
well, no, there was a gap. What I did is after the Peter Houghton, I chose not to come to my home country here to the Wellwood.
Okay.
I guess it would have been at Woodbine or Mohawk in those years. It probably went for about $750,000. People thought it was crazy not to go, but I didn't think it was the right thing to do, because I knew at that point I was managing a stallion, and I needed to do a couple things. I needed to win the Hambletonian, plus I needed to win the Breeders' Crown. I needed to go out on a bang. I really felt that I owed him, myself, and everybody that it had to be taken to the stage, if you will, to make sure you had the number one hit of all time. So everything had to be lined up. So I didn't come here. I took him to Lexington, raced him a few times there. Then there was a gap again to the Breeders' Crown, and in those days you had to qualify Gateway because the Meadowlands wasn't even open. So we had to go to Gateway like a week before the Breeders' Crown and Limbs and qualify in a muddy day.
So you picked the prestige races to win for his resume.
Well, I wanted to win every race that he was in, and I felt that it looked like now that he would have the ability to do that, and it would have been very tough if he had lost once even though, see, I see them now, they think it's no big deal when they lose. I think that it is, at that level, because the problem with it is that if they lose fair and square, well, what makes you think the next week they won't lose again and they won't lose again? So, I don't look at it that way at all. And plus, once he got syndicated, it was a big enough risk for people to buy into him anyway. So you certainly didn't want to have a situation where they were uneasy, which most horses, they hit a bump in the road. And man, the people that bought into them, they must just shiver, really.
Yeah. Well, and I would say that most of the money that could be earned is in Stallion.
Yes, eventually.
So, look at it. Foiled again. He's made $7 million. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that Muscle Hill. He had
gone and done it. Yeah.
Right. No, but I'm saying there's much more money in Stallion than the possible $7 million.
Well, it was Bill Peretti who told me that. But if you catch a stallion, he said, Mr. Peretti said there's a lot of money because if when it's all said and done, Muscle Hill will end up being a $100 million entity when you think of all of the yearlings, the fees around them. Just you saw some of that in our place. Think of all the packaging, the medications for the stallions and the semen extenders. It goes on, and the boxes and the FedExes and the this and the that. It's quite it becomes quite a business when it's successful on a stallion. It really, really does.